happening, everybody? Thursday, April 24th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Another day, another 100 or so gang members have been scooped up and summarily removed from the United States of America, making America a more and more safe place every single day. We're going to get into all of the breaking news on that. It happening in New York City. Also, an illegal immigrant has now been arrested for a what I would consider a very odd crime. I didn't know there was a market for this sort of smut, but apparently there is. We're going to get into that in just a minute. All that good stuff. We're going to get into that in just a minute. Also, Donald Trump signs sweeping executive orders in terms of higher education. Some people want to know where their money's coming from. They want to know where places like Harvard and Princeton and Yale are getting all their money from, which is, of course, a great question. Which, of course, is a great question to ask. Naturally, the left is apoplectic over this. Sunny Hostin, the dumbest person on The View, which is saying a lot, has interesting thoughts about Donald Trump and his new baby plans. Because naturally, she's the most racist person on ABC, which is saying something. And the vice president of a terrorist organization plans to sue Donald Trump for not letting men compete in women's sports. Yeah, come on. Minnesota, do better. Please. Do better. Guys, before we get rocking and rolling with all that, hit the thumbs up button, share this video out all over the place for everybody watching, since we've got a fairly large audience right now. For anybody in New Jersey, let me make this a little bit smaller. Anybody in the state of New Jersey, tonight at the New Brunswick Pub, come on down, meet Scott Pressler, the New Brunswick Pub in North Jersey. They're going to be signing up volunteers, getting people out there, getting people registered to vote, getting people engaged. So I know there's a lot of people in this chat from the North Jersey area. Make sure you guys check that out today. I'll be announcing more on Saturday, on tomorrow's show. I'm going to be out in Jersey next week, or this weekend, with Scott. Always a good time to be out there with him. So once again, that is tonight in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Come on down, say hello, grab a drink, get yourself registered to volunteer. Guys, before we get rocking and rolling today, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this network and everything we've got, this show, and everything we've got going on over here. All the good stuff over there. You can get your new Gulf of America t-shirt, your Gulf of America bucket hat, just in time for the summer. So, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. So, as the title suggests, another day, another couple hundred gang members have been removed from our communities. Obviously, this has the left absolutely apoplectic, because if Donald Trump does it, it must be bad, according to these people. But I want to be clear, we're going to get later in today's show about our side of the aisle and how impatience is a serious problem amongst the political right and how it annoys me. But let's dive right in, as a gang of 27 illegal immigrants have been removed from my beautiful city of New York following Tom Homan meeting with Mayor Eric Adams.
That's right. Both Homan and Adams taking major action here, announcing the arrest of 27 suspected TDA members on Tuesday. But both say this is just the tip of the iceberg. Listen.
Every member of TDA should be on the run, because the Trump administration is committed to removing every single member of TDA and MS-13 from this country.
This country is for those who believe in our rule of law, our principles, and are here to provide a life for themselves. It is not a safe haven for criminal behavior.
Authorities revealing during the press conference that over 30 guns were seized from the suspects. Now, this historic indictment marks the first time the alleged gang members are being hit with racketeering charges, commonly known as RICO charges, which the government used heavily to take down the mafia here in New York years ago. The charges carry the possibility of life in prison and accuse the alleged gang members of conspiring to commit murder, sex trafficking young women, assault, dealing drugs, and more. Homan saying this crackdown is just what the city needs.
Collaboration works. It keeps the city of New York safer. No one can argue. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. No one can argue what happened here in the last several months that resulted in 27 TDA being indicted. No one can argue that doesn't make the streets of New York safer.
Nobody can argue it doesn't make the streets safer. Now, of course, Democrats will do their damnedest to give that a try. But as we're seeing in recent polling coming out, this is Donald Trump's top issue. This is the issue that he is winning on amongst all of them. You know, people are very, how would you say, frustrated, curious, very, people are a little standoffish about the economy right now. And, with the market tumble that we saw over the course of the last several weeks, this is the issue that Donald Trump is winning the most on. So much so that Gavin Newsom, we showed you that absolutely awful video, that really just sad video of those two immigrant fathers who now have to bury their children because they were basically burned alive in a car accident. I shouldn't even call it an accident because it didn't have to happen. But we showed you that video yesterday. Well, Gavin Newsom now flouts his sanctuary law in order to work with Tom Homan in order to arrest these people. Now, do I think Gavin Newsom is having some sort of a morality awakening? Of course not. Of course not. Do I think that he is just sticking his finger in the air and seeing which way the wind is blowing? Absolutely. But you know what? I say it all the time. I am not somebody who wants to run on an issue. I want to solve an issue. And if we can get these guys out, California becomes a better place. This from the Post Millennial. California's Governor Gavin Newsom announced that California will be working with ICE to take an illegal immigrant convicted of vehicular manslaughter into custody after it was revealed that the criminal is set to be released from prison 6 years early. The move is contrary to the sanctuary state law positions he has taken before. In 2021, Oscar Ortega, well, he's got 12 names, I'm only saying 2 of them. 43 was drunk driving that caused the death of Anya. Yeah, there's not a chance I'm pronouncing either of these young people's names correctly. And I'm sorry for that. Now, 2 19-year-olds, the couple were burned to death in the crash. We showed you the video yesterday. Of course, the illegal immigrant had been deported 2 times, but continued to cross the border illegally. Newsom has now said that local law enforcement, despite California's sanctuary status, will be working with ICE to detain the convict. When the decision comes to releasing the illegal immigrant made to the public, it sparked furious backlash against the California government, leading to the statement from Newsom that the state would work with ICE to take him into custody. Look, this is one of those things where obviously I don't like Gavin Newsom. Obviously I don't want to see him become president. I don't want to see any of that. However, he can see which ways the wind is blowing. And right now, the political tides continue to, each and every day, fall on the side of deporting illegal immigrant criminals from this country. And as we've shown numerous times on this show, America has moved significantly more to the right when it comes to these sorts of deportations. And thank God that they are. It's been a long time coming. We've seen other presidents, most notably Barack Obama, deport a lot of people from this country. Absolutely. Nobody questions that. What I'm questioning, the reason why it's different is because we have turned off the tap, as Conor McGregor said yesterday in his interview with Tucker Carlson. It's about turning off the tap. If you're deporting 1 million people a year, but you're letting in 2 million, you're not helping. In fact, you're making the situation worse, which is what a lot of these people did, which is what a lot of the presidents did. It's what Bill Clinton did. It's what George W. Bush did. It's what President Obama did. It's what Biden did. People say, oh, they'll put the numbers up. And they're right. The deportations in the Trump administration are comparable to the deportations during the Biden administration. The problem is he was letting in 5 times more than he was letting out. If your boat is sinking and you don't plug the hole before you start shoveling water out of it, you're going to have a serious, serious problem on your hands. Your boat is going to sink. So it is nice to see that some Democrats, whether for political gain or for political expediency, whatever it may be, are starting to see that the American people are far, far, far more to the right than they would have you believe. And thank God they're finally doing it. It only took, 40 years for that sort of thing to happen. Because I want to be clear, there are some real bad ones out there. There are some real bad ones out there. As a matter of fact, here's a new one. You ready for this? Apparently, an illegal immigrant has now been arrested and detained for I can't believe I'm even going to say this out loud. Has now been detained for not only distributing child porn, but has been arrested for distributing, y'all ready for this? Animal porn. Really?
Walton County Sheriff's deputies and members of the Northwest Florida Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force arrested 43-year-old Paulino Tech Ixim yesterday. Authorities received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children about someone in Tefuniak transmitting sexual images of children and of animals. They say they searched Ixim's home on Windy Hill Drive yesterday and found the images on his home. He's being held on $100,000 bond because he is from Guatemala and in the country illegally. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has been notified.
That's a new one. That's a new one for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Something tells me that, I don't think we need that guy. But Kevin, if we don't let in illegal immigrants, who will pick our crops? I'll tell you what, I'll pay an extra 2 cents for lettuce if it means that this guy is no longer in our country anymore. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But that wasn't the only one we saw, as we've been seeing deportations happening all over the country, left ways, right ways, and center. And it's been great to see. As a matter of fact, in Virginia, some of these activist judges who are a real detriment to not only to the president's agenda, but to the American people in their totality, let an illegal immigrant off on a crime. And then ICE officers took over. So let's read the story, and then we'll show you guys the video, because naturally there were liberal activists outside trying to stop this from happening. This from the Gateway Pundit. Teodoro Rodriguez, a 41-year-old illegal alien and house painter, had walked out of a courtroom a free man thanks to a dismissal on an assault charge when he was immediately apprehended by plainclothes ICE officers. The operation, captured on video obtained by the Daily Progress, shows Rodriguez being calmly handcuffed and escorted into an unmarked van by Homeland Security personnel. In the video, ICE officers are seen acting professionally as they approached. Despite this, leftist agitators attempted to interfere, demanding a warrant, and a woman physically blocking an officer. Another woman even tried to interfere with the arrest. The lead officer rebuffed her, warning, "Do not touch me, or you will be arrested for impeding lawful duty." So this guy had an assault charge. Some liberal activist judge decided to dismiss the claim. And then ICE officers were just like, yeah, you're coming with us, bro.
Excuse me, you cannot impede me on my lawful duties. That is a crime. Do you understand? Do not touch me or impede me in my lawful duties, ma'am. Do you understand? It is a crime for you to do so.
Why? Do you have a warrant
Senor,
for this arrest? Do you have a warrant for his arrest?
Yes.
Where?
Hey,
Warrant.
grab
Where's the
him.
warrant for his arrest? Warrant signed by a
Get
judge.
off me, or I am calling the U.S. Attorney and prosecuting you
Okay.
for assault on a federal officer.
Show us the warrant
Back
for his
up.
arrest. Show us a warrant signed by a judge.
Turn him
You
around.
don't have a warrant.
Sir.
Show us a warrant for his arrest.
We are officers with Homeland Security.
You don't have a warrant signed by a judge.
All right, Señor Dominguez. No se preocupe.
You don't have to. You,
No necesitas decirle nada, no necesitas decirle nada sin abogado.
Got it?
No firme nada sin abogado.
Everybody ready? Yep. Let's go out, please. Vamos, señor, por favor, sígame. Yep. I'll do it first. Just everybody make sure we got it here. We got the phone.
Adios, muchacho. So, turns out when liberal activist judges decide to throw out cases against illegal immigrants, ICE will be there waiting to take them away. You're disappearing people with no due process. Man, I saw that on Twitter, and now I'm going to repeat it all day, every day out loud, even though I don't even know what the hell it means. Yeah. Well, I got news for you, and maybe this doesn't stand up to my intense need for constitutional scrutiny, which I will fully admit. But if you ignore due process to break into the country, I don't think I really care that much that you're ignoring due process when we remove you from the country. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You know a good way not to get deported back to a country you don't want to be in? Don't break into a different one. Go to your local store and go ask somebody if they give a crap that Kilmar Abuego Garcia, the wife-beating, human trafficking, illegal immigrant gang member, is no longer in America. Go find me somebody who, somebody who actually cares. Not somebody who tweets about it for engagement like Brian and Ed Krasenstein. I mean somebody that actually cares. Somebody who's losing sleep every night, knowing that Abuego, Kilmar, Garcia, whatever, I'm sure he's got 12 other names too. Show me somebody that actually cares that this guy's not in America anymore. Because most people just don't. It's not on their mind. And that's what Donald Trump knows. He knows that people don't really care about this guy, and that's why he is getting the boot out of America. And I don't care. I don't really care. Guys, hit the thumbs up button. Share this video out all over the place. We are going to keep rocking and rolling today as we've got radicals on all sides of the aisle doing more radical things. Once again, for everybody watching, guys, tonight at the North Brunswick Pub, come down, meet Scott Pressler. I will be in New Jersey on Saturday for an event. I'll give you guys those details tomorrow. But if you're in the North Jersey area and you'd like to get involved in the New Jersey activism, this would be a good place for you to go. The North Brunswick Pub. That would be 1846 Route 1 in North Brunswick Township. Guys, check that out today. Before we get back to the radicalism, All Glory Bang.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, support the people who support the parallel economy by heading on over to own.oldglorybank.com. That's own.oldglorybank.com. Giddy up, let's go. We're actually going to be joined by the CEO of Old Glory Bank later in the week, Mike Ringer. He's a regular on the show. I think he's going to end up being the first 5-timer we've had on this show. It's between him and Lee Zeldin. Maybe we'll try to get Lee on the show. Got to make sure we take care of our boy Lee Zeldin. So, more radicalism coming from the Democrats every which way. As we know, President Trump has basically threatened, and threatened many of the elite institutions in this country with pulling of funds if they do not comply with basic biology, basic fairness, and what everybody thought up until about 3 seconds ago. That men cannot compete in women's sports. Actually, as a matter of fact, last night, I was at Long Island University with Paula Scanlon, who was had the displeasure of being forced to be in a locker room with William Leah Thomas for the majority of her college career. Her story was absolutely terrifying, and I feel so bad that she had to go through it. Paul's an awesome person, so naturally we faced incredible backlash from the student body at Long Island University for having this very dangerous speech, so much so that a couple of ugly people decided to threaten me on Instagram. But look, the day I fear some fat lesbian from a Long Island University threatening my life on Instagram is the day I'll give up politics, because not really worried. So to that unrelenting land whale that told me to kill myself, my day isn't altered in any way. But the state of Minnesota, I love the Twin Cities. I really do. It's a beautiful place, St. Paul and Minneapolis. Beautiful area. But guys, do better. Do better, Minnesota. Between Amy Klobuchar and Tim Walz, and of course, your Attorney General, who is a terrorist. He's a legitimate terrorist, not like Ilhan Omar's a terrorist. I mean, Keith Ellison is the number 2 in the Nation of Islam, which is a terrorist organization. It's an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. We all know that. They'll deny it, but, whatever. I don't really care. Keith Ellison has decided that he is going to sue the Trump administration to make sure we keep dicks in the women's locker rooms. Oh, yeah. Here's big, brave Keith Ellison.
I'd like to announce that I'm suing the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, and the United States Department of Justice. Here is the opening line of our lawsuit. Minnesota brings this lawsuit to stop President Trump and his administration from bullying vulnerable children in this state. How did we get here? You might wonder. In January and February, President Trump issued a series of executive orders targeting transgender people. One in particular banned transgender girls and women from participating on sports teams with other girls and women. On February 20th, I issued a formal legal opinion saying that the executive order does not override Minnesota's protections against discrimination. In fact, complying with the sports executive order from the president would violate Minnesota Human Rights Act. That opinion is legally binding in Minnesota unless a court of law says otherwise. On February 25th of this year, our office got this letter from the Department of Justice stating that it would sue us if we didn't comply with the executive order. We got another letter right here, April 8th, dated April 8th, and in this April 8th letter and in an April 16th press conference, the Department of Justice threatened to withhold funds from Minnesota and, quote, seek judicial resolution, unquote. I'm not going to sit around waiting for the Trump administration to sue Minnesota. Today, Minnesota is suing him and his administration because we will not participate in this shameful bullying.
Keep going, guys. Keep going with this. Keep letting illegal immigrants free. Keep letting men in women's sports. Republicans will never lose again. Republicans will never lose again. And right now, look, polling coming out of the Trump administration from every polling firm doesn't look great. Doesn't look great, if we're being clear. It just isn't. immigration and men and women's sports is literally the only thing in many of the polling that has Donald Trump above water. So naturally, because it is the place where Donald Trump is winning, that's where these idiots have decided to go. Do it. Do it. I mean, Democrats just can't stop with the 80-20 issues. They can't do it. And I'm happy that they're, and I mean, look, do I want to see young women go through these sorts of things? Of course not. And when you hear stories like Paula's and Peyton McNabb's and Riley Gaines and Caitlin Wheeler and hundreds, thousands more, it's heartbreaking. It really is. But if this is the hill Democrats want to die on, let them die on it. Because their radicalism will lead to their downfall. It absolutely will. It absolutely will. In just a second, guys, we are going to get to more stuff out of the Trump admin today. We're going to make sure, I'm going to make sure I get to that. Before we get to that, guys, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here. It looks like soon, I'm getting an update right now. Soon, President Trump and the Prime Minister of Norway will be speaking. I don't know if it's going to be some kind of a joint press conference or whatnot. We will bring you that when it happens. We'll bring you guys that when it happens. So make sure you guys keep it locked in here all day for that. But now I want to discuss our side. Because we've got a serious, unbearable problem on our hands. And I do not take great joy in this. I don't. But I feel it needs to be addressed. We are, 3 months. 3 months into an administration. And when I see people on our side criticizing, attacking, going after, ranting, raving, up, down, left ways, and sideways, look, I promised I would do a better job at not swearing. There's no other way to say this. People just bitching and moaning about Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. Why haven't we seen any arrests yet? All Pam Bondi does is go on Fox News. Guys, do you know how long it takes to build a case against somebody? The impatience on, I don't even want to say the far right because it's not the far right. It's like I don't know what you'd call it, the woke right, the petulant children who voted for Trump because they dislike the left but don't really have any values. I don't really know what we would even call these people. There's large faction of people, the people who just want to get famous on X, so they decide to just complain all day long about everything. Everything. We haven't seen public executions yet. Well, guys, I hate to break this to you, but you're not going to see those. It's not going to happen. If you think they're going to hang Adam Schiff in the street, that's just not something that's going to happen. It just isn't. And if you watch this show routinely and repeatedly, regularly, you know that I say this all the time. It took 60 years for nefarious actors to do the sorts of things they did in this country. It took a long time for people to break down the systems. It took a long time for that. If you think that's going to be fixed in the 6 weeks that Dan Bongino has been at the FBI, you're on drugs. You're on drugs. And I hate to say this because some of the people I like, but you're nothing more than a spoiled child stomping his feet in the candy aisle because you're not getting what you want. But I want it now. You're like, what the hell was her name from Willy Wonka? What the hell was the name? It's going to drive me crazy. Chad, what the hell was her name, the bad egg? That fell down that wanted the golden goose? Oh, somebody say it before somebody tell me what that girl's name was before it ruins my entire day, please. It's going to drive me nuts. I mean, particularly Bongino, a guy who's been a leader in our movement, a guy who is, what is it, Veruca? Is that her name? There you go. Penelope. I don't think it was Penelope. Veruca. There you go. Yeah, that's her name. Yes. They could tell the bad egg. Love that movie. But I'm sorry. A guy like Bongino has been a leader in our movement, a guy who's built the platform that I'm currently on, a leader in this. I mean, I don't know why people think these things happen overnight. They don't. But Kevin, the left does it. Not really. Investigations take time. They just do. And the impatience to this makes us all look bad. It drives me nuts. Do I want to see all these things happen? Of course I do. Of course I do. 1,000% I want to see them. However, I trust in the people that we've put forth. I trust the people that we have elevated into these positions. I trust Kash Patel. I trust Pam Bondi. I trust Dan Bongino. If it had been Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General, it wouldn't have happened any faster. Matt's a dear friend of mine. It wouldn't have happened any faster. I understand applying pressure. That's what I do too. We want to see it, and we want to see it a lot faster than it's happening. But to think that, we've been sold out? They've been corrupted by the deep state? I'm sorry, that's just crap. That's just crap. A guy like Bongino gave up millions and millions and millions of dollars to become the deputy FBI director. That's the difference with this administration as opposed to other ones. Most of the people in the Trump administration gave up $1 million careers to come and attempt to do the right thing because they believe in doing the right thing. That's the difference between the Trump administrations and the... What's going on in this chat right now? The Democrats had No, they didn't. No, they didn't. John Yarder, this is a false statement. No, they didn't. They absolutely did not. As a matter of fact, at this point, I don't think they had won. 3 months into the Trump administration, 3 months into the Biden administration. I don't think they had won. As a matter of fact, they were arresting January 6ers like up to the moment Joe Biden left office. They were building cases. My friend Isabella DeLuca had won like 6 months before Biden left office. That would be 3 years from now. The guy's been there a month. Everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. But look, there's a lot of people online who are making a lot of money. I don't know. I don't even know what you'd... It's not grifting. It's unreasonable expectations is what I would call it. That's what I would call it. Guys, we'll be back in 1 second. Before that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. Yes, Gank. Gank writes in the chat, Joe Biden was inaugurated on January 20th. Arrests related to the January 6th Capitol began shortly after the event, with the FBI and other law enforcement starting nationwide, man. Yes, shortly after. Well, Gank says he's not going to wait. All right, well, then you don't wait. I don't know what I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do. You don't want to wait. You want it now. Man. You're going to have to wait. Find me somebody else who will do it. Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. That's the answer. What's up, Jackie? What's up, Jackie? Guys, hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We've got some good news, though, because since this administration has come in, there has been a sort of revitalization of the American people. A feeling that things are going to get better. And there's a clear-cut sign that people are feeling optimistic about the future. And that one big sign is military recruitment. So obviously we've seen some controversy over the last couple of weeks with Pete Hegseth in office, with signal chats. I don't really care about them at all. People making a big deal over virtually nothing. But the American people are starting to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, particularly when it comes to the ideas of forever wars. And how do I know that? Well, people are signing up for the military again. You don't make a 4-year investment being in the military if you don't believe in the administration. So, according to DOD recruitment figures, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, Space Force, the Coast Guard have all already exceeded their fiscal year 2025 recruitment goals. Here with Pete Hegseth.
The Army, Air Force, and Marines, you are up 108% in November, 119% in February, 108% after the election, 105% with the Navy. With the Marines, up 112% and 100%. They are through the roof. The U.S. Air Force, 100% of its goal. Same thing in February. And Space Force is also booming, over 100%. I think the warfighters are happy to have a warfighter up top, Mr. Secretary. With all this controversy, everything swirling around, have you ever doubted your decision to take this job?
Oh, not for a minute. I didn't hesitate when the president asked me, and I haven't hesitated for a moment, because those numbers are a reflection of why we're here. We call it the Trump bump internally. The reality is when war fighting and lethality is brought back, and it's serious, that what we're doing here is serious about getting after soldiering and war fighting, American people want to come back in. They want to sign up. These recruiting numbers don't surprise me. They don't surprise me one bit. They're a reflection of a yearning from the American public, of young people, to be proud of their country, to be proud of their military, to make sure when they serve, they're given everything they need. That's why I've fought for the budget that the Defense Department requires. And the president has said we'll have our first $1 trillion budget, because my kids, my 14-year-old, if he joins, he's going to have a great military. He's going to have peace through strength because of the historic investments of this president. So, no, I haven't blinked, and I won't blink, because this job is too big and too important for the American people, and I'm grateful for every opportunity.
So despite all the scandals coming out of the Pentagon, and I want to be clear, this administration, this Pentagon is not doing everything I would say they should be doing, most notably raising the Pentagon budget to $1 trillion, apparently, which there's no justification for whatsoever. I don't care who's doing it. The Pentagon does not need an additional $114 billion, considering we're not at war right now. I think the idea of inflating the Pentagon budget while trying to claim you're cutting waste is insane, is an insane notion. And moreover, I think that what really is going to happen if they inflate the Pentagon budget to that $1 trillion marker is that a lot of the people who have been touting DOGE, touting the waste, fraud, and abuse cuts, are going to look pretty stupid, are going to look pretty dumb when they get asked the question, okay, you cut $20 million from Iraqi Sesame Street. Great. But you added like 150 times that to the Pentagon budget. How can you square that circle? And I don't know, and they're going to do the same thing they always do. They're going to do the same thing they always do. What they're going to say is, thanks, Jackie. What they're going to say is, well, it's about national security and it's about American safety. I don't know. Do you guys feel any safer if we spend $1 trillion as opposed to spending $886 billion like we did last year? I don't. I don't at all. But that's what all the war hawks will say. That's what all the neocons will say. This Pentagon budget is a serious, serious problem. Also, I don't think it's going to pass. That's another problem I think we're going to face. I don't think it'll pass the Senate. I think there are enough fiscal hawks in there. And then people will rant and they'll rave and they'll yell at Rand Paul and they'll yell at Thomas Massey like they always do every time they try to say stop spending so much money. But that's just kind of par for the course at this point, I think. That's par for the course. You can't spend $1 trillion on the military and then claim to want to be cutting and then claim to want to be cutting spending. You can't, there's no way to do that. That's like, it's mind-boggling to me. But it's going to be, Kevin, the Pentagon needs that money to build the Golden Dome Trump wants, says Utah. Yeah, that doesn't work. We've tried that for years. Reagan had a policy, it was called Star Wars. It was the exact same sort of thing. It doesn't work. It sounds great. However, it just doesn't work. And people are going to ask me, well, Kevin, it works over Israel. You're right. It does. Israel is the size of New Jersey. America is just too big. But good point. You're right. They are going to try to build that Golden Dome. And I think it's a stupid idea. I think it's an incredibly stupid idea. But that's just me. That's just me. Once again, guys, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to make fun of some people in just a minute because that's what we like to do on this show. We like to make fun of people. So, President Trump, what do we got going here? All right, never mind. President Trump has instituted an interesting new policy where he plans to give $5,000 tax credits to people who have to Americans who have children. Now, I think this is a great idea. I think it would be great not only to spur people to have more children, but just to give some financial assistance to people who need it at the time when they need it the most. I think this is a great policy. However, some idiots out there, and by some idiots, I mean Sunny Hostin of The View, she thinks the reason why this is happening is because Donald Trump wants more white babies, which is not part of the policy, not something he said. Nothing. It's nothing. She just feels it.
Because when I look at something like this, these proposals, I want to know why, and I want to know who's making them. And so when I looked into that, they're saying that the U.S. birth rate is declining. However, in 2024, there was a 1% increase in U.S. births. But that increase was with Hispanic mothers and Asian mothers. So they don't seem to be concerned about that increase. They seem to be more concerned about a decrease in other populations.
Say it.
No, I think I said enough.
It's not based on that.
And so, well, it's just based on a study. And so the other thing
But have they said that anywhere? I mean, I feel like it should be fair.
It's just
fair to who?
It's just a.
Have they said that this is to target only white families?
Oh, I didn't say that.
You have to read
gave
between the
stats.
lines.
I just gave the stats.
They're not going to say
it's
it.
about economics. They're wanting people to pay in.
I'm just giving.
Leave it to the lady whose husband allegedly, supposedly, hasn't been found guilty yet, but may have, for the lawyers out there, been robbing Medicaid and Medicare for years in order to fulfill their coffers in their own private home. Of course, that is an allegation that has not been proven yet in a court of law. I'd like to make sure I say that out loud as clearly and directly as possible so that the lawyers, so ABC don't come and sue me. You know, gotta, what is it? Cover your own butt. Gotta make sure you do that. Of course, Sonny Hostin naturally thinks this has to do with white people, even though all Americans will get it: white, black, Asian, Hispanic, anyone that has anyone that is an American and has a child in America. But, you know, they have to find issue with everything the man does, no matter what, which is why nobody takes them seriously when they actually might have something reasonable to say. See, I criticize the right when I think they're wrong. I criticize the president when I think he's wrong. Why? Because it gives me credibility that I'm not just a sycophant who's going to say anything and everything. And I think that's why a lot of you watch this show. I think that's why a lot of you watch the network. And I think it's why a lot of the podcasters out there are as big as they are, because we're willing to criticize our own side, something the left is just not willing to do. They're not willing to criticize anybody remotely on their side of the aisle. And that's why when President Trump signs executive orders like he did yesterday into law, some of them are beginning to go apoplectic and get called out because of it. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do, guys, head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA-TV related. Check out the LFA-TV store. That is the best way to support this network so that we can keep the lights on over here, guys. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. Giddy up, let's go. We're going to pop the live chat on the screen because I'm curious how many people. Oh, where is it? Boom, boom, boom. Where the hell's the live chat? Boom. How many people have I pissed off today? Let's see. Have I pissed off anybody in the chat with my Willy Wonka comment? Veruca wants a golden goose. Have I upset anybody today? Let's see. I got the baseball in my hand, so you know I'm feeling good with my pine tar stain on the side. Yes, the NFL draft begins tonight. I still watch the NFL. I think I'm the last one. I think I'm the last one on the right who still watches it. I don't know. It's just me. I still like football. Good. Kate Olsen says she is outraged with laughter. All right. I'll take that. ZBM's having a grand old time. Good. How about, you know what? Comment of the day. How about them Mets? Oh, yeah. 7 in a row, baby. 7 in a row. Let's go. Guys, hit the thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place. So, yesterday, Donald Trump signed the executive orders requiring universities to disclose large foreign donations or risk federal funding. Yeah, that seems to make a whole hell of a lot of sense. President Trump signed an executive order on Wednesday directing his administration to enforce laws that would require universities to disclose large foreign gifts. According to the White House fact sheet, the order mandates, quote, full and timely disclosure of foreign funding by higher education institutes and directs the Secretary of Education to rescind or reverse any policies implemented by the previous administration that allows universities to obscure details about foreign gifts and contracts. The order clarifies that universities failing to comply with the disclosure requirements risk losing access to federal grant funding. It also directs the Department of Education to coordinate with the Attorney General's office and other federal agencies to hold institutions accountable, through audits, investigations, and enforcement actions. President Trump is committed to protecting national security, the White House said in a statement. A report from the National Association of Scholars highlighted that a substantial amount of undisclosed foreign donations came from Arab countries in particular. The report found that American universities received $767 million in undisclosed donations from Saudi Arabia and Qatar in just 10 years, with Saudi Arabia being the biggest donor to it. A February report from the Harvard Crimson, from Harvard's own newspaper, found that the university had received $151 million in foreign funds since January of 2020, including from the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Bangladesh. Yeah, I'm good. We don't need that. I don't need that. And this is beginning to make Harvard donors go apoplectic, as big donors beg the university to strike a deal with Trump before the funding cuts. Now, why is that the case? Why are they begging them to do that? Because here's what many of these big donors will do. They'll donate large sums of money and then get their half-wit, retarded children into places like MIT so that they can graduate with a degree from Harvard or Yale or Stanford or Columbia or Princeton or Dartmouth or Duke or Baylor or one of these other gigantic institutions out there. That way their kids can get jobs that they don't really deserve, but they're getting because they have a degree from Harvard. And many people are beginning to freak out that Trump is going after many of these colleges. Harvard donors have reportedly, like I'm the Swedish chef, been urging the Ivy League universities to work with the Trump administration after the Education Department slashed $2.2 billion in funding, according to the New York Times. Federal funding for MIT, for Massachusetts-based university. Hold on. Which Massachusetts-based university did it say? I think this is Harvard. Yeah, I think this is. I think this comes from Harvard. Federal funding for the Massachusetts-based university was pulled earlier this month after Harvard refused to comply with the administration's demands on rooting out anti-Semitism, diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus. As a result of his letter, Trump froze $2.2 billion in federal funding, which, to be honest with you, they don't really need. Despite failed attempt, Harvard mega donors are still urging the university to strike a deal with Trump. This includes billionaire hedge fund manager John Paulson, who is evil, and the Pressing Square chief executive Bill Ackman, who believes it is a mistake to fight with the president, according to the Times. Additionally, several donors claim that Harvard has failed to combat anti-Semitism on... Hold on a minute. We have, do we have this? President Trump is live at the White House right now. Hold on, here he is.
We come here early in your term. Appreciate that you take time. We have highlighted that very close cooperation. We are allies. We look after security in the north, in the Arctic. A lot of confidence between our services. We have discussed in detail the war in Ukraine. I have saluted the President for his initiative to make progress towards something that can be a ceasefire and an end to this terrible conflict. It is a complex picture, but it needs political will and push, and we have exchanged ideas on that. And then I think the President and his team have been open to hear our perspectives. And on trade, we have also emphasized that we can benefit, both of us, by trading. We can be complementary, and we can find good solutions. But first of all, I appreciate, Mr. President, the spirit and the tone of this conversation, which has been confirmation of a very strong partnership.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any questions?
Can I ask you
Yes.
first, Mr. President, have you spoken about the tariff that you want to impose on Norway? Is there a chance that you can lower
We spoke about trade,
tariffs?
and we understand each other very well. I think we'll have no problem.
You think that you will get an agreement?
I think
with
we'll have no problem whatsoever with Norway.
Mr.
Discuss a possible visit to Norway? Did you discuss a possible visit for President Trump to
We
Norway?
didn't, but I love it. I mean, I've been there, and it is a beautiful place. They have.
But I told the President that, you know, he is receiving us early in the term. He's welcome to visit Norway. We would like to have him, and it will be another way of emphasizing this strong friendship.
Mr. President, Norway has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine since the Russian invasion in 2022. Has something been discussed here today that may have altered your views on things?
No, we want to, very simply, I have no allegiance to anybody. I have allegiance to saving lives, and I want to save a lot of lives. A lot of young people, mostly young people. It's the war. It's the soldiers, and if we can do that. Also, as you know, I got started because the money that's been spent on this war is insane. It should have never happened, and it would have never happened if I were president. But Biden spent $350 billion on this, and it's a shame. And that's what got me involved. And then I looked at, and I see the results. It's horrible. It's a killing field. 5,000 soldiers a week on average. And we want to stop that. We both want to stop that for a lot of reasons, but I would say that is my number one reason.
Why do you think that you will get Russia to accept a deal that also Ukraine and Europe is willing to?
I think so, yeah. I do. I believe they will accept, and I think we're going to get this over with. I hope so, soon.
You continue to lack support from NATO allies in your goal of obtaining Greenland. How will you proceed if you don't get that support?
Well, Greenland's going to be interesting, but that's for another day. I think we need that for international peace.
What are you expecting of your
And if
allies?
you don't have that, I think it's a big threat to our world. So I think Greenland's very important for international peace. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, this morning in Truth Social Post, you used the words, Vladimir, stop. That seemed like a slightly different message, a personal message. What is your level of frustration with President Putin?
I didn't like
at this
last
point?
night. I wasn't happy with it. And we're in the midst of talking peace, and missiles were fired. And I was not happy with it. That's what I meant, and that's, you know, what it is. I assume that's what you mean.
Sorry,
Yeah,
if
I
the
assume.
bombs keep falling, will you consider additional sanctions toward Russia, or what will you do if President Putin
I'd
does not
rather answer
respond?
that question in a week. I want to see if we can have a deal. No reason to answer it now, but I won't be happy. Let me put it that way. Things will happen.
Mr. President, why are you not putting more pressure on Russia? I know a lot of Europeans.
Putting a lot of pressure. You don't know what pressure I'm putting on Russia. They're dealing. You have no idea what pressure I'm putting on Russia. We're putting a lot of pressure.
Can you maybe tell us that? What kind of
We're
pressure
putting a
are you
lot of
putting on
pressure on Russia, and Russia knows that, and some people that are close to it know, or he wouldn't be talking right now. The Prime Minister understands that better than anybody. He wouldn't be talking right now. He's talking, and we're putting a lot of pressure. I think he wants to make a deal. We're going to find out very soon, but it takes two to tango, and you have to have Ukraine want to make a deal too, and they're being hit very hard, and I do believe they want to make a deal.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, if I may, you've said that the Ukraine have to give some territory to win peace, among them Crimea. Do you stand by that? And I know that the former NATO General Secretary today has told you that he does not agree and he believes in territorial integrity of the Ukraine. How will you deal with that with your allies? And do you stand by that Ukraine have to give?
Former Secretary General happens to be right here, so they can't put words in his mouth. He's been a great general, frankly. It was because that's what you are. Really, you're a general. But he's been a great Secretary General. We had a tremendous relationship, very successful, and I think he could speak for himself. He's right here.
But do you still agree that